You're watching the Fantasy Football Bros podcast, the show that'll keep you from coming in last. Now, here's your hosts.
Hi, welcome to another episode of the Fantasy Football Bros podcast. I am joined here by Nick, and we're going to give you guys a Week 3 preview. We got lovely things on the menu for you guys today. We're going to go through some Week 3 matchups. We got a buy or sell segment for you. We're going to hit you with our starts of the week, and we're going to even cover a little bit about what to expect tonight from Thursday Night Football. So, Nick, how does it feel? We're in Week 2. How you doing? How you looking in your leagues?
I'm doing really good in two of my leagues. The other league, I feel like I have such a good team, but I'm 0-2. It's one of the weirdest things, but I'm doing good. Really excited about Week 3, though. It's so good to have football back. I just get excited. It's exciting time. So yeah,
for sure. All right, so let's dive into some matchups here and kind of go through who to start, maybe who to sit, and work through it. So first on the menu, we got the Panthers versus the Texans. It's easy choices for me with the Panthers. It's start McCaffrey, start DJ Moore. With Robbie Anderson, I'd probably still start him. Anyone else I wouldn't start, so don't worry about it there. Darnold probably wouldn't start either, but he's someone to keep an eye out. On the Texans side of the ball, I wouldn't start anyone really today because they have a rookie quarterback. Now, Nick, can you explain to the audience this Tyrod Taylor theory, though? So let's kind of Nick found this theory.
I was gonna bring it up too. I sent Jimmy like a TikTok about this guy, like saying like the Tyrod Taylor theory, which pretty much says every time he gets hurt or leaves the team, they get a franchise quarterback. If you look back to the Bills when he was a starter and took him to the playoffs, the next year they got Josh Allen. Drawing a blank on who else, but I remember last year also the Chargers.
It's Baker Mayfield,
obviously.
Yeah.
Oh, Baker Mayfield with the Browns. That's right. So that was actually when they were covering him through what's it called, Hard Knocks, and Tyrod Taylor was a starter, and then obviously they ended up replacing with Baker Mayfield, who ended up being their franchise quarterback, and then lastly last year was the Chargers when he got just a bizarre accident where the doctor punctured his lung and he couldn't play and thrusted Justin Herbert, and he just never looked back from there. And who knows about this Davis Mills?
Yep.
I mean, guy's quarterback maybe.
He's a Stanford guy.
We're gonna see.
Yeah,
we're gonna see.
We'll have to see. But yeah, so that covers that matchup. And Thursday Night Football. At least we're going to preview it a little more later, but that's kind of a quick recap. Now we're moving on to the Sunday games here. We got the 10 o'clock block, as we like to call it here. We got the Colts at the Titans. Nick, what do you have to say about this game?
Yeah, I think this is going to be another high-scoring game for like the Titans and Colts, because last week they both had pretty high-scoring games, especially the Titans. We talked about how Derrick Henry had a day, but I expect this to be a big offensive game. I expect, obviously from the obvious starters like Derrick Henry, he's just someone that you always start. You're never not starting Derrick Henry. Same with Christian McCaffrey. Even Ryan Tannehill, this is a pretty good matchup for him. I think that he has only thrown one touchdown pass this whole season, and I think that he's too good of a player, and he's got too many weapons around him to not only throw one touchdown pass. So I expect him to do well. And then also, it's a little bit surprised too. Michael Pittman had a great game last week too. So I was someone that was kind of just done with Michael Pittman because I had him for so long and he just never did anything. As soon as I dropped him, he was just on fire last week. So I expect him to just continue. And Zach Pascal he's a play. I feel like you can play Zach Pascal. He's always finding the end zone. They like him there. Mm-hmm. So I'm with any of those guys. I feel like you can play. Obviously, we talked about Jonathan Taylor in that situation. I don't really want any part of that, but obviously, if you drafted Jonathan Taylor, you have to play him.
Yeah, for sure. The Colts defense doesn't seem as powerful as they were last year, so We'll see. Like usually they were like
they did play two high scoring offenses with the Seattle Seahawks and the Rams.
It's
so
very early.
I think that maybe we'll see what happens. I think this game will be a determining whether they have a good offense or defense or not.
A nice divisional matchup here too. All right, so the next game we got, actually I should say, is the Falcons at the Giants. Matt Ryan hasn't been looking too hot. He kind of blew a game for me, not because I started him out. You're kind of crazy you started him, because he decided to throw 2 pick sixes in the fourth quarter to Tampa Bay, the same guy. I saw a funny statistic on like Instagram saying like touchdown. He has more touchdown passes to that player than anyone on his team, leading the Falcons in touchdown passes from Ryan.
That's brutal.
And that is brutal. But I expect a solid outing for guys like Calvin Ridley. I think we should see a 100-yard game. I wouldn't be surprised. He's yet to have one. We thought he would have like these big games, but I think they'll find their footing. On the Giants side of the ball, I feel like Saquon still has some time to get back, but I think he might go back to maybe his mold. We saw him with a take off for a good run. But that offensive line is just horrible. And like they're just not he's not part of like an offense like a Zeke has his line and these other guys have this good line. So
Cleveland.
Exactly, like Cleveland, the Colts. So we'll have to see with that situation with the receivers. I know Kenny Golladay is hurt right now. So we'll have to see, monitor him throughout the week and see. I know I think he's dealing with a hip thing maybe. So we'll have to monitor him. Sterling Shepard was looking really good.
Yeah.
He needs to probably be rostered. Danny Dimes likes to throw to him. And speaking of Danny Dimes, that's another guy. We'll talk about him even more later. That he's looking really solid, and now he's got a great matchup against Atlanta. I'd be happy to start him. He protects you with those legs. He'll get you those points because he'll run a lot. And it seems like with Saquon hurt, they're even using him more. They're like deacon people by like having him do a fake run option.
Read option.
Yeah, core QB option.
RPO.
Yeah. So it's interesting to see. I didn't get to cover the Falcons running backs. We have Cordero. I don't know how to say his first name that well, so I'm gonna say Patterson.
Cordero Patterson.
Yeah, Cordero Patterson. Yeah. I think he's looking really solid. Where Mike Davis, we thought he would have a great year. I think a lot of people were drafted him pretty early in like the 5th round because he did so well in that McCaffrey spot last year. He's getting the touches. He's not doing horrible. Maybe he because technically if he got a touchdown in both those games, he ends up having like a pretty solid day of like 15, 16 points. But if that's what he becomes, then we're a little nervous because now he has Patterson who's kind of maybe taking some touches. So that's something to worry about, Mike Davis owners. And Patterson needs to be owned in like 100% of leagues. If he's on the waiver wire, you should probably go sweep him up, especially because like running backs are scarce. We know that, guys, in fantasy. So so that covers that matchup. So we can move on to our next matchup here. We got the Chargers at the Chiefs. Nick, what do you have to say about this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a high-scoring game, I feel like. I mean, I think the Chargers have a decent defense, and I think also the Chiefs have a pretty good defense. But at the same time, we saw how the Chiefs handled the Baltimore Ravens, and that was just a high-scoring game. So, I mean, this is going to have some big fantasy implications. Yep. You know, I'm a little bit disappointed in Justin Herbert this year.
Yep.
I'm not going to lie. He has not looked good.
Sophomore slump.
And, yeah, I think he's just forcing some balls now. I mean, it's really interesting. I think last game they utilized Eckler a lot, which was good for the offense, but it kind of scares me if he's going to go into a little sophomore slump. I don't know. I think he's going to do better this game. I have too much confidence in him to keep regressing. I think also, someone to keep an eye out for is Mike Davis. Now, Mike Williams. Mike Williams used to be just kind of a deep pass catch and a deep threat. And we're seeing that the Chargers are using him on more like slants and outs and stuff like that. So they're obviously trying to get him more involved. That looks like the priority in their offense. So I really like Mike Williams in this matchup. Obviously Keenan Allen, I mean, he's for sure start. And I think Austin Eckler as well. I mean, the only thing that scares me is Austin Eckler is that committee that they have going on. So I'm pretty confident to start all those guys. And then for the Chiefs, I mean, you start Pat Mahomes. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is scary. We're gonna see. Last week we talked about not panicking on him. I think he's just kind of bleh. Everything in that team is so explosive, and just Clyde Edwards-Helaire is just blah. And maybe they're not using him in the passing game like we thought he would be used. But, I think that, Mahomes is finding people open and they just don't even need him in the passing game or something. I don't know. Because he was like the first person in college football history at LSU to have I think it was 1,000 yards rushing and 1,000 yards receiving. Someone will have to correct me on that. But, he's just not being utilized in the passing game. Yeah. And, it's kind of disappointing if you're a Clyde Edwards-Helaire owner. To me, I don't think there's much you can do with him. You can't trade him right now. I think you just kind of hold on to him and hope that he turns it around. They have too good of an offense, but I think besides the other people that you obviously start in this game, like Kelsey and Hill, you just do it. But this should be a good game.
Yeah, for sure. All right, nice. So the next matchup we have to cover here is the Bengals at Steelers. Now, I'll start with the Steelers here. We know Big Ben's injured, and we know Deontay Johnson's injured, so I think this might be the Najee Harris show. Now, they might see that coming in with that horrible offensive line and not be able to do it, but I think they're going to have to rely on the run, maybe some dump-offs, because I know Big Ben's dealing with a left pectoral injury that, fortunately, that's not on his throwing side, so we'll have to see, and we know Big Ben's tough, so he probably will be okay enough. So, but they are going to have to run more, I think, this game. And then of course, Deontay Johnson went down with that scary injury last week that ended up not being much. So that ended up being like as severe as it thought it'd be. He's still questionable so far, just to keep that. So keep an eye on him. But but I think if he plays, I'm probably going to start him. He's had like 12 targets each game. He's their number one through and through for right now. Najee, you're going to start him. You drafted him to start him. On the others, I would start.
Who do you like more, Juju or Claypool?
I'm Juju.
Doesn't play?
Claypool's kind of not done anything yet. Juju's gotten like 2 touchdowns already, so Juju is still a part of that Steelers offense. He's always been a vital part. We'll have to see more from Claypool. People thought Claypool was going to be more involved, and it looks like he's kind of still the number 3 receiver for right now. We'll have to see if that changes throughout the year. I think Eric Ibron, if you're worried about tight end, I don't think you should play Eric Ibron. I think they're having issues with him. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I know he popped up on some reports and stuff. And so coaches something with the coach. So I don't know. But on the other side of the ball, we got the Bengals, and you play Joe Mixon. I think you start T. Higgins I think T. Higgins is the safest now, the receivers. I think we came in saying that Tyler Boyd would be the safest. Looks like T. Higgins might be the safest, and Tyler Boyd is the least. We see it as T. Higgins got a touchdown each game, Nick. I think he has, right?
He has. He's gotten each game. And I have him in like every league.
and Jamar Chase, I think, has a touchdown in each game. But I think Jamar
Chase got bailed out too last game. That touchdown catch literally saved his day. If you're Jamar Chase, you're thanking God for that touchdown, because he probably ends with like 2 or 3 points up until that touchdown pass. But I mean, we see both these offenses struggling. Last week the Bengals didn't get going until the end of the game. Do you expect this to be a slow starting game for both these teams?
But you have to play them. If you have Joe Mixon, you have to play him. It's the Steelers' defense. Now the receivers are better off than the running backs. So I think Joe Mixon. We've seen Joe Mixon struggle mightily against certain defenses, even defenses that aren't that well. Joe Mixon's like one of the most inconsistent guys in fantasy football. Now, is that because of his line? I don't know. We don't know. There's a multitude of factors. I mean, he has great big play ability. We saw it in week 1. We saw it last year before he went down. He went off and got like almost 40 points one game. So he has that explosiveness that we'd like to see from a lot of players. So you plug and play him. Hopefully he's your RB2.
Yeah.
He's a high upside RB2. I think maybe low end RB1 because of what he can do. But this week he's definitely in the lower because he's against the Steelers. So in Joe Burrow, I don't think you would want to start him too unless you're in a 2 quarterback league. Especially against this lineup. So that's it for that matchup. Any comments, Nick, about this game?
No, I definitely agree. I think it's going to be a slow story. It's a defensive battle game for sure. The next team that we got here is the Bears and the Browns, and I'm just going to say this, Jimmy. I'm worried about Justin Fields for this. I think this is a trial by fire game. I think he struggles this game. I really do. I mean, we've seen the Browns just have an amazing defense, and what I hope that they drop a game plan for him to rely on Allen Robinson, because what do you do when you're facing your rookie quarterback and you're facing a good defense? You rely on your top dogs, and that's Allen Robinson. So I'm a little bit concerned about Justin Fields. What about you?
I'm definitely concerned. I mean, anytime you get a rookie quarterback, for fantasy purposes, I think he might pan out because I think he's going to use his legs a lot. However, I wouldn't suggest starting him. I think this game is going to be a tough game on him, but I think he'll find his stride. It's like you said, they're throwing him into the fire, trial by fire. And you hit the nail on the head with everything. Like Allen Robinson, he's going to have to rely on him. Allen Robinson dropped like a touchdown pass, though, last week. He caught one. I don't know if you
Yeah.
saw him go right between his legs. That's not gonna happen. I mean, right between his legs. What am I thinking? Soccer? That's blasphemy. That's blasphemy on the show. Right between his arms. It's for a touch. It would have been a second touchdown of the game. Allen Robinson's not gonna do that again. He's got such good ability.
Yeah, Allen. Just gonna say, Allen Robinson was my start of the week last week. He was making me look real good in the beginning of the game with a touchdown, and then just didn't do anything after that. So my B. But yeah, I mean, I think this is, obviously from anyone else, like you start with the I can't even talk right now. The Cleveland Browns, I think you just obvious people you start. I mean, we saw that the Bears have stepped up their defense a little bit when they played the Bengals. It's just been a tale of two different teams. But I really think, the Browns are just going to run over the Bears with their offense, and their offensive line just run down the ball right down to their throat. And I just think this is a really brutal matchup for Justin Fields, and I'm concerned for him because obviously with rookie, it's all mental, the game and understanding things. I hope Matt Nagy can draw up a game plan friendly to him. We'll see what happens, but obviously, it's going to be a tough matchup for him.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so the next matchup we have on here are the Ravens at the Lions. I'm going to make this simple. You start Lamar. You start Mark Andrews. I wouldn't consider really Marquise Brown I think is their number one receiver, and he's looked pretty solid. So but those other two are locked in. Marquise Brown is fringe. Tyson Williams, I'd start him. I suggest if you have him. A lot of you who had him probably had J.K. Dobbins, so you probably would need to start him. I think he's a great start this week against Detroit.
Yeah.
He's giving up the most points.
And get this, Jimmy, Marquise Brown with 7 touchdown catches with each of the last 7 games that he's played.
Wow.
So counting back to last year, obviously, he's caught a touchdown pass every single game. So I think, I agree with you. I think Marquise is just kind of a no-brainer start. Yeah. I want Marquise Brown.
He's a great flex play to me. Yeah. Low end or wide receiver too.
And obviously with like you said with the against the Detroit Lions, I mean that's a match made in heaven.
Especially for like Lamar, so that's easy. On the other side of the ball, the Baltimore, even though they have some of their DBs down, I think they're still a strong defense. So I wouldn't necessarily be excited to start a lot of the Detroit players. But I think you start DeAndre Swift and you plug and play him and you hope for the best with him. He's always involved. That's good. Jamal Williams, I'd be scared to start him. He didn't have a good game last week. But you can if you're desperate. But I wouldn't. Goff, no. Any of the receivers, no. Hawkinson, though. Man. Hawkinson is looking like he could be a top 3 tight end. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being like the number 3 or 2 tight end this year. That's a bold prediction for me. But he's the wide receiver 1 for that team. Just like a Waller's the wide receiver 1. He doesn't have the competition like Kittle has. The competition. We'll talk more about Kittle later. But we've seen him struggle because they have Debo and stuff too to throw to. But so Hawkinson, you got to plug and play him, and I'm good for you that you got him. Goff Goff is looking pretty solid too. I'd have to say.
He is. With what he
what he has, he's looking solid. Like he does not have that.
Yeah, they're running a lot of like short passes too, like a lot of outs, a lot of running back out of the back.
Yeah,
passes.
Yeah, I like it though. It's the old Chargers coach, right? It's Anthony Lynn. He's the offensive coordinator. It's like the rejects of LA get sent there, and they're looking pretty. They you know what? They were winning in the first half. So. I gotta commend them for that. They should not be even close to Green Bay, if you ask me. Like on paper, but they look solid.
They came back against the Niners.
This team, and I think they have like next year the Lions might be. Sorry, we're going off a tangent here, but it's just interesting to talk about. Like the Lions, I think they have 3 first-round picks next year. This is a team that can rebuild, and for good. But yeah, so that's all we kind of have to cover with that team, Nick. So let's move on to the next game here.
Yeah, Saints and Patriots. I think this is going to be a defensive battle. I mean, Saints have good defense. Obviously, it's not as good as last year, as we saw kind of like the Carolina Panthers just expose them a little bit on offense and defense. But I think it's going to be a defensive battle. Saints going against a rookie quarterback. I almost started the Saints defense, but obviously I picked up the Raiders, which we'll get to a little bit later. They were free on the waiver wire, and obviously, if you have the Raiders on your waiver wire, go pick them up. That's a good start. But I digress with that. I think this is going to be just a defensive battle, and I would like the Saints to make an adjustment. I mean, we just didn't see Kamara get the ball enough. Yep. Kamara is their playmaker. Obviously, they were feeling pretty high after Jameis Winston had an amazing week 1, but he just showed that he's kind of the similar Jameis Winston that we did see at the Buccaneers with making just bad play decisions. But I really expect this to be just kind of a defensive battle. In terms of the Patriots, Damian Harris is looking good. But, obviously the Saints have an amazing run defense. I think last year they didn't even allow, they very rarely allowed any touchdowns from running backs. And I kind of expect them to just focus on the ground game and making sure that Damian Harris gets nowhere. But I think other than from the obvious people like Alvin Kamara, I feel like you just play Alvin Kamara and Damian Harris. And I think that's really it. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. All right. So there's not much that needs to be said more about that. So let's move on to the next matchup. We got the Cardinals at the Jaguars. Kyler Murray. What was it that we said? We said Kyler Murray.
You have him in every league.
Yeah, I'm in 2 leagues. I had this I'm gonna give myself credit for I was like, this guy, he just has so much because he's like a Lamar, but he has a better arm and he has DeAndre Hopkins to throw to. And now he's got this Rondell Moore guy. Are you kidding me? Out of Purdue that he's able to just kind of dump off to as well. He's just got so many weapons, and he has their main running back is Chase Edmonds, and they throw to him mostly. You know what I mean? This is just great points for Kyler Murray, and I think it just, of course, you start him, and congratulations, he's probably going to be the number 1 QB I think again this week against this team. And then I think you can play Rondell Moore in the flex. I think it's a good game to play Rondell Moore. Of course, you plug and play.
I'm gonna just add real quick, Jimmy. Rondell Moore has the most targets on the team over DeAndre.
What
Hopkins.
happened there?
That's
weird.
Obviously significant.
Yeah, I was.
Say again. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love you. I love you saying that. But totally. Chase Edmonds, I think you should put him in, and you should feel comfortable putting him in this matchup. He's yet to find the end zone, but I believe he has 70 reception yards a game. And it's just he's safe. He has that safe floor. Now if he finds the end zone, he moves up. He moves into that mid RB2 range. Right now I think he's a low end RB2 flex play. But if they keep, because Connor does keep taking those goal line carries, but Connor's yet to do anything really. They usually throw or have Kyler Murray run. I think Kyler Murray has 2 rushing touchdowns this year. So I think James Conner is kind of fading away, but I just Chase Edmonds is involved in that offense and he just looks good. So I think he's just a good start. Definitely. On the other side of the ball, we have the Jaguars.
What about the Jags? They look bad, Jimmy.
Their offense is struggling.
Do you play anyone on the Jags?
Yes, I'd play their receivers. I'd play Marvin Jones. I'd feel comfortable. I'd play even Chark. We saw Chenault's a little injured still, so I think they're going to probably not use him as much. I'd assume maybe could be totally wrong, and then he ends up having this big game, but you never know. But I think Marvin Jones is the number 1 receiver. I think he already has 2 touchdowns this season. They're going to be playing from behind. That means it's good for the receivers. So I think a guy like Marvin Jones is a solid start, wide receiver 2 to flex play. So yeah, definitely. Trevor Lawrence though, they're struggling. We saw a quote by Urban Meyer. I sent it to Nick saying it's like playing Alabama every week. It's is he gonna even stick around much longer? That's stressful. That means he's stressing out, But it's irrespective.
Game planning for Alabama every week.
Imagine having a game plan Alabama every week. Just that's what it's like, for every NFL team, But yeah, so I think we covered that matchup. Start certain guys. Rondell Moore, though, we'll cover him. He's probably someone you got off your waiver wire. I think you got him off the waiver wire. Why not take a little chance? Especially if of course, if you have more solid guys, more solid, But if you have a little bit of shakiness in that flex spot, I'd put Rondell Moore in. He's involved in so many things. Nick, he almost ran in a touchdown. I don't know if you saw that too. He's just a little a gadget type player guy who's gonna where Hopkins takes away. Hopkins takes away some of the targets. So yeah. But anyways. The next team we have on our list, though, and this is the last game of the 10 o'clock block, actually, is the Washington at Bills.
Yeah, I really expect Josh Allen to have a bounce-back game. I mean, we saw Josh Allen not be what he was last year, and obviously if you drafted Josh Allen, you're a little bit disappointed. I know he did almost run in a touchdown last week, and it ended up getting called back. I think it was he was marked down short just before the end zone. But it was honestly, so close where you were able to get Josh Allen above, 20, 3 points or something like that. He ended up dropping down to 17, which obviously isn't bad or isn't great for your quarterback. So I really do believe in Josh Allen still. I mean, he does have a 50% completion rate, which is scary, but also that about Josh Allen. Josh Allen's not the guy that's going to complete a ton of passes. He's never been that type of quarterback. But I really think that he has a bounce back game against the Washington football team. We talk about like the backfield and how it's just such a big question mark. I mean, Zach Moss ends up scoring 2 touchdowns last week, and it's like, dude, what happened? Like, you weren't even playing last week, and now you're scoring 2 touchdowns. And you had Singletary, and you were pretty confident about that. But to me, I still feel like you can't start any of them. Like, I don't think they're like a Cleveland Browns where both of those running backs are viable starters, or even the Detroit Lions where you can justify starting both Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift. So I really, kind of just don't believe in their ground game. Their best running back to me is Josh Allen. And I think that's like, everyone will kind of agree with that. But, in this matchup, I don't like also for Washington, I don't like Scary Terry this matchup. I think that they really the Bills stick Tre'Davious White on him and say, hey, we're not going to lose to Terry McLaurin here. And I think that you can have a big game for Logan Thomas. Maybe that means, but I think because he's their number 2 pass option to me, and obviously as the tight end, we don't have much to go off of, and Logan Thomas is probably a safer bet. But I like the matchup for the Bills. I think Washington has a tough time. We'll see whether Heineke can continue this run. He's been amazing so far. But I think obviously Josh Allen you start, Stephon Diggs you start. I mean they're gonna that relationship's there. From the obvious people you start. I like the game for the Bills. I don't like it for the football team.
Yeah, I'm nervous about Antonio Gibson. We've seen the Bills kind of.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, we've seen the Bills struggle. I mean, sorry, not the Bills struggle. We've seen Gibson struggle, and the Bills have a great defense. Their defense might be better than what people thought they were going to be this year. Yeah, I saw even like a thing like a recap type thing, and people are talking about like the Bills defense might be their strong suit this year. We'll have to see. I mean, there were a couple of years ago. I remember one of my first years playing fantasy. I'm like, Nick, what defense do I grab? And Nick's like, grab the Bills. They're a strong defense, and we didn't kind of see that, But now we're kind of maybe they're developing, to this strong defense that we're seeing. So that's a scary team. That's a team to watch. But 100%. I think that's going to be hard for Gibson, especially with McKissick taking a lot of the pass catching. So. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
And also just real quick, I want to add, Gibson wasn't bad rushing the football.
No.
I think I want to say he got 12 rushes last game for 60 yards, which is pretty good. It's just volume. The fact that J.D. McKissick is eating at those receiving yards. That's what we get for PPR, right? Yeah. It's all about catching passes on the backfield, unless you're Derrick Henry, of course. But it's like he's not getting that, and he's running efficiently. It's just he just can't find the end zone, and he's not catching passes, so that's a problem.
Yep, definitely.
J.D. McKissick, a villain.
All right, so let's move on to the 1 o'clock block. We got Jets at Broncos. Good job if you have the Broncos defense. Looks like I think the biggest takeaway we can have from the Jets is it looks like Sam Darnold might not have been the issue. Oh, newsflash, you need a lot of weapons and things to block for the guy. What did he throw? 4 interceptions last week? Yeah. 4 interceptions last week. And, this is the guy's picked 2 overall. I mean, he's a rookie, so you got to give him the benefit of the doubt. But at the same time, it's what this is you needed to build a great offensive line. I think they lost their best offensive line piece. I wouldn't feel comfortable starting anyone on the Jets except Corey Davis as a flex. And I still wouldn't want to do that because Corey Davis busted. And the only reason he did really well in week 1 was 2 touchdown catches at the end of the game. So, thus, I'd stay away from most of the Jets. We can talk about Michael Carter. It looks like he's taking, maybe he might be the number 1. We see it's Ty Johnson and Michael Carter seem to be the 2 running backs to watch for on that team. They'll never be RB1s in fantasy, but they could be low-end RB2s, mid-range RB2s if we see them get involved in the pass game. Michael Carter to me is the guy I'd be watching for and the guy I'd store away if you have room. Tevin Coleman, he's not involved, so don't worry about him. He doesn't need to be rostered. On the other side of the ball, the Broncos, they look good. We have Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon. Teddy Bridgewater looks.
Portland Sutton too, Jimmy. I mean, was a sneaky play last week.
Yep, Sutton.
You know,
Sutton is awesome, and
yeah, I started him in one league, just being like balls to the wall with that.
Yeah,
ended up paying off.
Yep, he led the week right in rushing. I mean, in receiving yards. He was up there though. I don't know if he was number one, but he was up there. And he got like 20 points without a touchdown. It's like insane in half PPR. When we talk, guys, just to make sure you know, a lot of our stuff numbers are half PPR. Just to clarify again. But Sutton, yeah, start him, plug and play him every week. He's a high end. Our wide receiver 2 could be a wide receiver 1. I wouldn't doubt it. Teddy Bridgewater loves him now. They're building that connection. Noah Fant, start Noah Fant. Noah Fant. I'm not sure exactly what it is. I'm gonna go with Fant. Start him. There's not that many good tight ends. He's a solid tight end. He is, as long as he stays on the field and isn't injured. Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams, I think they're both possible plays. Melvin Gordon's a little safer because I think he's still kind of their number. It's a 1A, 1B situation. Give it a couple more weeks. I think Javonte Williams will be the number 1, and Melvin Gordon will kind of start to fall away. They've traded up for Javonte Williams, but I think you could start both of them. I would be a little more nervous starting Javonte Williams, so it's a little scary. It depends how deep of a league. If you're in a deeper league like Nixon, like this very deep league, Javonte Williams is definitely, you start him, you know, and you think they're gonna run a lot as they take a lead early. Teddy Bridgewater is looking great. I'm sorry, like and I think he's done really well in fantasy, over 20 points in both back-to-back weeks. I would expect him to get over 20 points again this week. So yeah, Broncos are looking good. I think they could be a playoff team easily because they got a very strong defense and their offense is looking competent. So yeah.
Yeah, we talked about the AFC West being a pretty competitive division, and also like both NFC and AFC West teams looking like they're pretty competitive. Because I think right now, the Raiders are in first.
Yeah, the Raiders are in first.
Lost last week.
The Chiefs lost. Yep, that's pretty crazy, right? All right, so we can move on to the next matchup here, Nick. Speaking of the Raiders, Nick, nice segue there.
Ooh, good transition.
Dolphins,
okay, so yeah,
Dolphins and Raiders.
Got Dolphins, Raiders. I mean, like I talked about, you got to pick up the Raiders defense. I mean, the Raiders defense, weren't horrible against the Ravens, right? Week 1, they forced 2 fumbles on Lamar. And they held them to like 28 points or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the end that score was, but you know, they're not a horrible defense. And they spent a lot of first round picks on their defense with I think Jonathan Ibron, safety out of Alabama. So I think that the Raiders defense, I think they're available in like 70% of leagues. I think to me, it's an obvious just pick them up and play them because Dolphins are running with Jacoby Brissett, and we saw how horrible of a offense that was with him behind center. So with the Raiders, I think that you start guys like Darren Waller, obviously.
Yep.
You know, even Henry Ruggs had a great game last week. I mean, Henry Ruggs, you know, sneaky maybe person to watch, but you know, Derek Carr, I don't know if I would start Derek Carr. And I'm going to be honest here because I think that this game gets out of hand real quick, and I don't see them passing the ball too much. I think that this ends up being like a run game. And I also think Miami's defense is not bad.
Yep,
Miami's defense is pretty good. So I'm not huge on Carr this week. So I think this game, I would start the Raiders defense and play Darren Waller. And I don't know if I would do really anything else.
Yeah.
I would just keep an eye on anything else.
Josh Jacobs. Yeah. What about the running back situation? You know, Josh Jacobs is still hurt.
Yeah, I think Josh Jacobs is still hurt or questionable.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I don't think they've released anything yet at this point. But I mean, I don't want Kenyon Drake either. I mean, we saw Kenyon Drake has been such an overhyped running back this whole last 2 years. I mean, Kenyon Drake was going in the second round last year, and Kenyon Drake, I'm gonna be honest, is a garbage man. He just is not good. I think he was fantasy relevant for 8 weeks or end of last year when he got traded to the Cardinals, and and it just goes to show that they brought in Peyton Barber, who splitting time with Kenyon Drake, and I just think that was just a horrible move by the Raiders, to bring in Kenyon Drake. I mean, I don't understand why, and even the fact that Peyton Barber, who was on the practice squad and is now on the the team, it just goes to show that they just don't have. Kenyon Drake's just not good, and that's my opinion.
Yeah. I don't think
play anyone. You agree with that?
Yeah, I'd have to
Sorry,
agree
go
that
ahead.
it just Kenyon Drake is like I think he has like 8 points one week, 9 points another week. He's involved in the pass game, but like I don't know, he's just so touchdown dependent. He's so shaky. You're not gonna feel good about starting him. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got to cover about this matchup. But this next matchup,
Yeah, and also
go
real
ahead.
quick, I
Sorry.
mean, I don't play anyone on the Dolphins either. I mean,
Yeah, not even
I guess
Gaskin. You don't want to do
Jalen Waddle.
Gaskin. I think you kind of have to, right?
What's that?
What about Gaskin? That's it.
I don't start. I mean, that offensive line is horrible. I don't know if I start Gaskin.
Yeah.
I mean, if I have to, I will, but I'm not starting Gaskin confidently. You know, I'm gonna see how that plays out.
Alright.
Anything that I'm starting confidently is the Raiders defense.
Yeah, I feel you. All right. So this next matchup, we have a fantasy bonanza going on right now, and it's going to be the Seahawks at the Vikings. Congratulations if you have probably one of the receivers from each team, because it's like one of the main two, the top two. If Lockett, you're probably going to score a lot of points. Metcalf, I think this might be the week Metcalf wakes up a little bit, so sorry if you're playing him. Justin Jefferson, I think this also might be the week where he wakes up. He hasn't had a big week yet. Thielen always likes to take those touchdowns. I'm a Jefferson owner, so I'm a little sour towards Thielen. I literally watching Red Zone with my dad the other day, and literally I'm like, they're at like the red zone, and I go, what's going to Thielen? And Dad's like, what? He goes, because he has Jefferson too in another league, and I go, it's going to Thielen right now, watch. Boom, right to Thielen. Thielen's basically like their tight end, and he gets like their touchdowns. But Jefferson had a touchdown, he came down with one, so we'll have to see if he can get those yards. Osborne, is that the number 17 for the Vikings? I think it's like Osborne. I think he's like,
yes.
I think he might be a rookie. I'm not 100% sure. He's young though. He's looking very part of the offense. I remember they threw that deep touchdown last week. I'm like, it went up in the air. I'm like, yeah, it's going to Jefferson, because all those big passes used to always go to Jefferson. I'm like, oh, it's Osborne, number 17. Okay, yeah. So, but he's someone to probably roster, but he's also not in the field a lot. A lot of times they like to have just two wide receivers lined up. So I don't know, but he's someone to probably roster. He's looking pretty solid.
Well, I would agree with you. Rostering maybe like a 12 or
it's a little bit deeper of a league.
A deep league, maybe.
That's what I'd mean. Sorry, that'd be for a deeper league for sure. But he's
like
looking
not
solid.
10-person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook's didn't practice again today on Thursday. This is Thursday. He didn't practice again today. But I think he's good to go. And if he's not, I hope you were smart enough to grab Alexander Madison. I wasn't last year one time, and he got hurt. Ironically, against the Seahawks, he got hurt. I didn't have Madison, so I had to sacrifice some trades to get Madison just so I can make sure and try to secure a win. Madison only got me 3 points that next week, so that was kind of horrible. And then Dalvin was back. But you do want to have Madison. Madison has that potential to go off. We saw Derrick Henry run over this team, so whoever the running back is, start him. On the other side of the ball, like I said, Lockett, Metcalf already covered them. Chris Carson. Nick, I heard something interesting about Chris Carson. A little bit touchdown dependent. He's not getting involved in the third down passing as much, so we'll have to see how that carries on. I forget, is it Homer? Yeah, is that another running back? Because Rashad Penny's out. I think they involved Homer.
Rashad Penny's out. Homer. Also DJ Dallas. I don't know if he's getting any touches.
Yeah, no, it looks like Homer's kind of taking some of the pass catching duties. So it's a little bit worrisome, but Chris Carson, he should be okay. You drafted him to be your RB2, I hope. So I think he's right now sitting at a mid-range RB2. We'll to see if that changes. So on the quarterback side, start Russell Wilson. Deeper leagues, you can start Kirk Cousins, but deeper leagues, I don't feel comfortable with Kirk Cousins a lot. So, but deeper leagues you got to, and this is a good matchup for him. I feel like it's a good matchup. Some people might argue it's not, but yeah. So that covers that for me. Nick, you got any comments?
What about the Seahawks pass catchers? Do you like DK Metcalf or do you like Tyler Lockett?
I think Tyler Lockett. This is kind of a hot take. I was so high on Metcalf. Am I reacting too soon? Maybe Lockett might end up with more points. We know Russell Wilson likes to throw these deep balls, and who's getting those deep balls? It's Tyler Lockett, and he'll throw a couple of those deep balls every game too. And you're like, oh, there's Lockett, and he's crazy. But like Nick said last year in last episode, Tyler Lockett's and we've seen Tyler Lockett done this at the beginning of seasons, and then halfway through he kind of fades away, but. Metcalf, I think, is maybe more talented. I love Metcalf. He's a stud. He's big and strong and fast as lightning. But he needs to get his hands a little better. I think Russell Wilson's relying a lot on Tyler Lockett for the moment. So I feel like he's the receiver to watch right now. That could easily change and I think it's a good week for both of them, though. Yeah. All right. So let's move on here, Nick. We got the Buccaneers and at Rams. I just have to say real quick. I'll be at this game, looking like I'm going to be going to this game. I have season tickets for the Rams, Just a plug, and this will be my first ever NFL football game I'm going to, and I'm pretty damn excited.
Heck yeah.
Well, this is a good game to go to see Tom Brady first time playing in LA. So, but Nick, you want to cover this game? What's looking?
Go. Yeah, yep. That's a great game to go to. It's going to be a offensive, struggle. I think, it's really tough because whenever you have like a pass catcher on the Bucks or going against the Rams, I should say, it's really tough because you saw what Jalen Ramsey can do to like guys like Allen Robinson, where pretty much just erase him from the game. And I think the person that's going to be, he's going to be covering is Mike Evans. So to me, like I'm almost considering not even starting Mike Evans because of, the possibility of Jalen Ramsey just shadowing him every play. I don't think that he's going to. Mm-hmm. But also like an interesting news is that obviously Antonio Brown looks like he has COVID or he was placed on COVID protocol. And that means that you're going to be seeing a lot of Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. And, me, I'm a little bit biased because I have Chris Godwin. To me, that I was like licking my chops because, with Antonio Brown being out. Yeah. It is important to add here that Antonio Brown, Bruce Arians came out and said that Tampa Bay is 100% vaccinated. So obviously with the rules with vaccinated players, I think it's a little bit different than unvaccinated, where if he tests like negative, like 24 hours before the game or something like that, he's able to play. So I think we can't rule him out completely just yet. That's just all speculation, by the way. But if that's the case, I think Godwin's is a good play this week. I do also think that Jalen Ramsey's going to be splitting time between Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, but also at the same time, I'm more high on Chris Godwin because he mostly works out of the slot versus Mike Evans. But I think this is going to be a great game. Obviously, I think Tom Brady can also be matchup proof, where he can throw it, where no matter who he's going against, he's going to have a good game. I'm not completely convinced because last year we saw the Rams just completely destroyed the Bucs offense. It seemed like they were just in complete total control. But obviously, this is a new year. We saw that the Rams aren't the best team at stopping the run. So I obviously with like Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones, I don't know if I'd play any of them, but I really do like Chris Godwin for this game. Gronk, play Gronk. Yeah. I think that Gronk can have a great game because the linebackers are not the greatest coverage for the Rams. And then also on the Rams side, Cooper Kupp has just been amazing. He's just been nothing short but amazing this year. Mm-hmm. Him and Tyler Lockett are like very similar players, and they're having both similar starts this season. And if I'm a Cooper Kupp owner, I'm very, very excited about that because we saw that connection between him and Matt Stafford. I'm also a little bit concerned for Robert Woods. I'm not going to lie. Robert Woods kind of seems like the odd man out. He does get some passes. I think he got a touchdown pass. What was it? I don't know if it was last week or 2 weeks ago.
He needs to start going to those breakfasts. You heard about those breakfasts with that Cooper?
No.
I guess Stafford and is having like breakfast and like Cooper Kupp goes there. So like he needs to build that rapport with Matt Stafford. So it's pretty funny. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe he does. Robert Woods,
Yeah.
Don't skip out on breakfast with Matt Stafford, I guess.
Exactly.
But yeah, you know what? I think those guys are plays. I have Darrell Henderson in one league. I'm not even going to play him because he's obviously we're not sure if he's going to even play. He sat out again in practice this week. And Sony Michel was kind of a thing last week. I'm a big Darrell Henderson believer, but Darrell Henderson's the biggest thing for him has been being able to stay healthy and be on the field. And each year he's been there, he has not shown he can.
Yep.
So with him being a little bit banged up, I'm not playing Darrell Henderson. I feel like he's going to, even if he plays this game, he's going to be splitting touches with Sony Michel. So I think I wouldn't play any running backs on both teams, but I definitely play, some Cooper Kupp. I definitely play Chris Godwin. Those are my two, just you play. Obviously quarterbacks, I think the quarterbacks are having a good game. So, what do you think about this game, Jimmy? Who do you like better? Do you like Mike Evans or Chris Godwin?
Godwin. Godwin's more consistent. Like it's like the guy I'd also run on my roster more because Godwin, you can kind of guarantee a certain amount of things. With Chris Evans, I think he's got Jalen Ramsey lined up against him the most, and we're going to see him probably get shut down we know Mike Evans is boom or bust. So, yeah. All right. So the next.
I definitely agree.
Yeah. So the next matchup we have here is Sunday Night Football, and we got the Packers at the 49ers. Is it still called Candlestick Park? That's the old name. No, but
yeah.
So the Packers at the 49ers. I'm worried about Kittle. Should I be worried about Kittle? Probably not.
I think you should.
You think I should?
I think
yeah, this is 2 games in a row. We've seen him kind of fall away. Debo's taking a lot of the yardage and targets away. Start Debo, guys. Don't let that guy sit on your bench anymore. He's doing just so solid. Ayuk, bench him. Jimmy G, bench him. I'm not 100% sure on the running back situation. I think Elijah Mitchell's coming back. If not, it's I think it's Trey Sermon. If he's made it out of the concussion protocol, we'll probably find that out like tomorrow or the next day, because I believe it takes like 5 days to get through it. So the running back situation is kind of a mess. So I would suggest not even dealing with that. But you drafted Kittle, you got to start him. Ayuk, put him on the bench. I haven't seen. For me, I'd need to see a couple good weeks out of him. He has the potential, but I need to see a couple good weeks. Debo, you got to start him though too. I think you got to. I think he's almost he's in must-start territory. You know, he's like leading in receiving yards. You kidding me? Start the guy. On the other side of the ball, Packers. Aaron Rodgers did it, guys. He did what we thought he would. He came back. Everyone panicked. Is this it? Is Rodgers? Blah, 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 blah. People have bet down weeks, and we saw a great game out of him. I think he had like 4 touchdown passes. Aaron Jones, oh my gosh. Start Aaron Jones no matter what. Monster of a game. Devontae Adams, he doesn't even get a touchdown last week, but still gets you like so many points. The guy's, I feel like he's the number 1 wide receiver through and through in all of football for me. I just love Devontae Adams. He gets targeted in the red zone. He gets targeted in the deep. He gets targeted on the short. He's just so solid, Devontae Adams. Tunyon scares me. He's very touchdown dependent. I'm going to probably be starting him in one league, not happily starting him. He had 3 targets last week, caught a touchdown, ended up with like 11, 12, or 12 points. I think it was 12 points in half PPR. I don't know. I wouldn't want to start him, but I think you're going to have to start him because like he's a tight end and he gets kind of points. But yeah, Rodgers, you're going to start him. I'm kind of interested with Aj Dylan. It seems like he's kind of fallen away where Aaron Jones is that guy. Jamal Williams left, and Aaron Jones you have even more of a role now. So we'll have to see kind of how things play out. This is going to be a great game to watch. It's going to be a fun Sunday Night Football. I have no idea who's going to win this game, honestly. This is going to be, I feel like, a close game. It's a kind of a revenge game for Rodgers, the team that didn't draft him, his favorite team that just skipped over him and took Alex Smith. So, you know, he's faced them before, but this is another fun one. He's getting, he's coming off that MVP season. So, yeah.
Jimmy, let me ask you, is in a 10-person league, is Aj Dylan droppable?
He is a handcuff. Meaning he is only, I think you need to have him if you have Aaron Jones. We've seen Aaron Jones get hurt a lot. I think he's droppable if you don't. It seems like that. But it's also week 2. Week 1 doesn't even count. You kind of have to throw that away too.
Yeah, but we did see Aj Dylan. He's not as more in the offense that we thought.
I thought he'd be involved more than he was. Like they involved him at the end after Aaron Jones' 4th touchdown. Then they kind of put him in, But yeah, so that's covers that matchup.
Yep.
We're going with a Monday Night Football.
Gonna move now. Okay, Jimmy. Actually, I want to see who do you think is going to win this Sunday night game?
Oh.
Is it going to be Packers or 49ers? I'm making you choose.
You're making me choose between the Packers or the Niners?
Yeah, who's winning?
I think I got the Packers winning this. I believe in their offense, their high-powered offense. Yeah, they're coming back, and I hope they win too. Maybe because I'm a Rams fan, so like of course I hope. But I also think the Packers' high-powered offense is too much for the 49ers to handle, and the 49ers' offense is kind of a mess a little bit right now. So we'll kind of see. But yeah.
Yep.
So this last matchup, there, Nick, we'll have you cover. It's Monday Night Football, a divisional game. So we got the Eagles at the Cowboys.
Yep, this is a great rivalry game. Eagles-Cowboys, one of the greatest rivalries in sports. I love this game if I have the Eagles. Like Miles Sanders is going to – I think he's going to have a good game. Obviously, we saw that their committee. But I really love Jalen Hurts this game. I think that Jalen Hurts is going to be going off. I think that Jalen Hurts is going to be a sneaky top 5 quarterback at the end of the season. We're going to see him be in the top 5 quarterbacks just because of his mobility. I mean, we saw last week he didn't have the greatest game, and he pretty much got shut down by the 49ers. He still ran in for a touchdown, even though he didn't throw any touchdowns, and he ends up walking away with a pretty solid game with 20 points. So I think that for me, I love the Eagles. I love Jalen Hurts. I like Dallas Goedert this game. Even if Zach Ertz does play, I know that Zach Ertz is questionable, but I think that Goddard is going to be one of their biggest threats in the red zone. I mean, we've already seen that he's actually has 3 targets in the red zone. To me, that shows that Jalen Hurts trusts him, and he's a big target. He was going to get open in the end zone. I also really I don't like Devontae Smith this matchup, Jimmy. I think that Trayvon Diggs. I'm drawing a blank on his first name, but
Diggs? Trayvon, I don't know. I'm not sure.
It might be. We'll have to check that up. But Diggs has just been amazing this year. Yeah. I mean, we saw him just completely just eliminate Mike Evans this year, or this matchup that they had in week 1. He's just been amazing, and I think he's going to line up on the side of Devontae Smith, who he's going to pretty much shut down. I do like, this is my take here, I do like Jalen Reagor, and I think that Jalen Reagor is going to have a good matchup with the I can't remember who the Cowboys' second cornerback is, but it's a very matchup friendly for Jalen Reagor, who is not rostered in a lot of leagues. I've been saying this for a long time. I'm a big Jalen Reagor believer. I think that he was drafted in the first round last year ahead of Justin Jefferson. Obviously, that was a mistake, but I think that the talent is still there for Jalen Reagor. Last week, we saw that he very close. It was the right call for sure. He stepped out of bounds, and but he did catch a touchdown pass, and they ruled it rightfully so that it was a penalty. But at the same time, I think that Jalen Reagor has that trust between Jalen Hurts, and I think that we see that continue to develop. And he has a very friendly matchup this week, and I expect him to have a great week. I don't like anyone in the Cowboys. I'm going to say that. Obviously, the pass catchers I do like CeeDee Lamb. I don't know if Amari Cooper is clear to play this game, but I think CeeDee Lamb's just almost matchup proof in my opinion. I think he's so good. Don't like Zeke. Tony Pollard's just tapping too much into his touches. But we see that the Eagles have a great defense and to stop the run. So I think this is going to be a tough matchup for the Cowboys. But love the Eagles.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. All right. So let me take us to the other segment that we are calling Buying or Selling. All right. So first on the agenda for buy or sell is we're doing fantasy points, guys. Let me preface by saying that we're going to be doing fantasy points, and they're half PPR. So we're basically going to say whether we buy this person's going to reach his expectations of these fantasy points or not. Okay. So the first guy on fantasy points is we got 13.4 points for Robert Woods. Nick, are you buying or selling Robert Woods getting 13.4 points against Tampa Bay this weekend?
I'm selling.
Okay.
I don't believe Robert Woods will. I think this whole time we've been seeing that Cooper Kupp just steal a lot of the touches, and he's made the most with it, with his yards after catch. He's just been amazing. Robert Woods just kind of feels left out at this time. I'm not confidently starting him. I don't know whether the Rams offensive line can hold the Bucks, front four. For them to have such a great game like we expect them to. I think this ends up being a good, solid game, 27-24. But I do think that Robert Woods, it's not going to be the biggest friendly thing for him. I think Sony Michel finds the end zone. I think Cooper Kupp finds the end zone. But I don't think Robert Woods does. So with that being said, I believe he's under his projection.
Well, this is going to be fun because I'm buying this, baby. And we're going to, don't worry, next week we're going to talk about whether we were right or wrong. I'm buying this for one reason, okay? Well, actually not one, many. I love Robert Woods. No, but some of the reasons are Woods it's his time to shine, baby. It's been the Cooper Kupp show. They're going to be on Cooper Kupp. They're going to get Robert Woods involved. They get him involved in those jet sweeps that McVay made famous. I think he's going to find the end zone. He's definitely going to hit those 13 points. Those 13.4 points. I'm buying Robert Woods. All right?
All right. We'll see. Yeah. We're coming back to this. Jimmy says yes, I say no.
Okay, perfect. So on the next one, we have another receiver. T. Higgins getting 12.7 points against Pittsburgh. Nick, are you buying or selling?
I have to buy T. Higgins, and there's only one reason why I do buy T. Higgins. T. Higgins is one of the most consistent to me. I've had him all of last year, and then I have him in 2 leagues this year, and it's very rare that he goes under. I think he's just one of those guys that's so consistent, and he obviously has a good relationship with Joe Burrow. I know it's Pittsburgh's defense, and I know 12 points. To me, it's just if you think that T. Higgins is going to find the end zone or not, and I tend to think that he will, only because he's so consistently finding in the end zone and always being consistent with Joe Burrow. I think, to me, I know that Jamar Chase is one of the sexier picks, but I think T. Higgins is one of the better receivers on that team, and I think at the end of the day, he's going to have the more targets than Jamar Chase.
Perfect. Well, this is going to be simple because I'm buying too. T. Higgins is that number 1 receiver on that team, and 12 points is kind of nothing. So I think he'll easily clear that.
Yeah, it's like I said, Jimmy, if you think he's going to find that end zone or not.
Yeah, exactly, and I think I'd put money on it. Maybe I will. No, but, we'll see. All right, so let's move on to the next one. We got Chase Edmonds versus the Jaguars getting 11.65 points. I'll start us off. I'm buying this. I think this is Chase Edmonds' time to shine. I think he finally will find the end zone. 2 games he hasn't found the end zone. I think they want to get him in the end zone. I think this is going to be a blowout. Thus, they need to run the clock down, and Edmonds will get his time to shine. This also might be a good game for Connor, but 11.65 points isn't that high. I believe Edmonds the first week got 12 points, and then the next week he got 10 points. So I'm buying that Edmonds is going to hit this 11.65. I think he'll clear it. So.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that Chase Edmonds, he's so talented. I mean, we saw Chase Edmonds last year. He looked a lot better than Kenyon Drake. I couldn't forget the garbage man's name. But no, he looked like the better. He looked like the better runner. He looked like the better pass catcher. I think Chase Edmonds 11 is pretty low in my opinion. I think James Conner is going to get his touches, but also it's like I said. Do you think that Chase Edmonds is going to find the end zone or not? I think he does. I think he's going to be very involved in the run game. I think he's going to be involved in the pass game. Chase Edmonds, give me Chase Edmonds above.
Exactly. I agree.
All right, next who we have here is Tyson Williams. He's going against Detroit. That's such a friendly matchup. Jimmy, what do you say? Over 10 points or under?
It's so easy for me. I'm buying, and I think he's definitely going to get it. He had 16 points week 1, and he got 10 points last week. He would have got 16 again if he got that touchdown that he didn't fumble, but they grabbed and ran it in. It's kind of a bad luck thing. The guy his helmet went boom, crashed right into his arm. Tyson Williams looks like the guy for them. I am a little bit afraid because it seems like they might do a 3-man committee, but Tyson Williams, this is a great matchup for him. I think he's going to explode, and I think it's just going to be a great game, and I think you should start him confidently, especially you J.K. Dobbins owners who might be struggling in your RB2 position. Here he is. He's obviously the most talented. Put him in, baby. I'm buying.
Yep. This is going to be easy, Jimmy, because I completely agree with you. So Tyson Williams is averaging 6.5 yards per carry this year. That's insane. And I think has to do with, they pretty much when J.K. Dobbins went down, they were still really high on Tyson Williams. He was one of those guys that they're like, okay, J.K. Dobbins went down, but you were hearing a lot of Tyson Williams. You saw him sign Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell hasn't, I don't think, suited up for a game this year. So I think they really like Tyson Williams, and he's the guy that gets involved in the passing game. He, obviously Latavius Murray comes in at the goal line packages, and he's going to be annoying. He's going to have the similar role that he did with Kamara, where he, is the downhill runner, north to south. But Tyson Williams is the gadget guy that they're going to use. They're going to use him out of the backfield in the passing game. I think that Tyson Williams is one of those guys that's going to potentially win people's leagues if you have him on your team. Like I said, averaging 6.5 yards per carry, that's amazing.
It is amazing.
And like you said, Jimmy, if he doesn't fumble that that touchdown in the end zone there, he walks away with
16 points.
17
yeah,
points.
17
points. That's awesome. So give me Tyson Williams over 10 points. That's nothing.
Definitely, for sure. All right. Well, we'll have to check back next week and see how that goes. All right, guys, let's move on to the next segment we have, which is a starts of the week.
It's time for the starts of the week. Yeah!
All right, so last week, I'm going to be straight up with you guys. I did horrible. And Nick, how did you do?
I think I went 2 for 4.
That's good.
Isn't great, but isn't bad. I got Aaron Rodgers and Eckler. I missed out on Jonnu Smith and who was the last guy? I can't remember. It was a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Oh, it was Allen Robinson.
Yeah, I would have been 2 for 4 if it wasn't for Jared Cook not getting that touchdown. They called it back, but I did well on Mike Williams. So this week, though, we're cutting it down to one guy each, all right? So let's just try see if we can get 1 for 1 this week and get 100%. Nick, who's your start of the week this week? Who's the guy?
My start of the week is an easy one. It's Jalen Hurts. I talked about how I thought this matchup was so great for him, and I just continue to echo that I think Jalen Hurts is going to be a top 5 quarterback this year. And I think that he's going to be, just with DeMarcus Lawrence out, he's going to have time to throw. They have a good offensive line with the Eagles. It's like I said, other than Devontae Smith, I think Dallas Goedert's going to be open. I think we saw that, pretty much that the Cowboys are giving up the second most fantasy points to tight ends. I think you look for Dallas Goedert too. He's kind of a sneaky tight end pick of start of the week as well, but if I'm having to narrow it down, it's Jalen Hurts. And obviously I talked about Jalen Reagor as well, getting involved. I think that's just such a good matchup for him, and I think he goes well above his projected points.
I love it. All right, I'm going to stay with Robert Woods. I called him in the buy or sell. I bought him, and I'm going to buy him even more by making him my start of the week. I'm going to the Rams game, baby, and I want to see Woods, man. He's just going to run. I think he's just going to be part of the run game, the pass game. I think it's the Woods game now. I think they're going to just target Cooper Kupp, and that means Woods is going to be open more. They can't target all of them. The Rams have a lot of weapons, and I'm excited to make him my start of the week. You drafted him early, and I'm going for you, helping you guys out by believing in you guys' early draft pick of Robert Woods, and that's my start of the week. All right, perfect. All right, and so let's move on to the last segment here. We're going to just talk about Thursday Night Football and give it a quick preview. We previewed it enough earlier. So, Nick, what do you, think about who's going to win this game? Who do you got? And do you, kind of obvious, I feel like,
I think it's obvious. I think it's obviously that Davis Mills comes in and is the franchise quarterback.
Oh, wow. Okay, exactly. And he just wins. He throws all over them.
Houston's losing this game. Houston's losing this game. I'm not choosing. Carolina's got too good of a defense.
Yeah.
It's 100%. Carolina that's winning this game. I mean, we talked about you just start the regular guys. I think it's going to be kind of a blowout. I do think that Davis Mills becomes the franchise quarterback, though.
I love it.
I'm just kidding.
I love that bold prediction.
The Tyrod Taylor effect.
The Tyrod Taylor effect. Yeah, I'm definitely taking Carolina. Honestly, though, the Texans don't look as bad as people were kind of saying they'd look, though, before, with Tyrod Taylor and stuff. I mean, they gave who'd they play last week? I'm totally blanking. Browns, right? The Browns. They gave the Browns a run for their money. I know they gave them a run for their money. That's a playoff team. That's the team everyone's saying is going to win the division. So the Texans, if they get Tyrod Taylor back, I think they'll be fine. This Davis Mills guy, I think he's a second-round quarterback. I don't have much faith in him, but we'll see. He's a Stanford quarterback. He's gone against the best college competition, and he's still drafted in the second round. No slouch. I mean, Nick's guy, Jalen Hurts, second-round draft pick, and we see him. He's a top fantasy option, Nick's start of the week. So, but I think this will be a good game. I think it's gonna be a great game for you McCaffrey owners. Congratulations, Nick. Congratulations to you, and my condolences for you because you're going against him in another league.
Yeah. Ironic.
It's gonna be fun and.
Ironic.
Yeah, right. Well, thank you guys so much for watching another episode of the Fantasy Football Bros podcast. You know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we'll see you guys next time. Good luck on your fantasy week week 3, and we'll see you in week 4. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thanks for watching the Fantasy Football Bros podcast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. See you next time.